Tonight on The Roast, Clive Palmer forms a micro-party alliance and the Labor caucus votes on who they want as leader. But first, Mark Humphries, if you're there, clap twice. Oh. Woo!
Clive Palmer, half man, half five other men, appeared on Lateline last night and announced he's made a deal with a senator from one of the minor parties. Palmer didn't announce who the senator was, but he gave us a pretty big clue.
It's good to have another person of strong character and moral conviction.
Strong character, moral conviction, we know who that is.
Australian Motoring Enthusiast Party Senator-elect Ricky Muir will vote with Queensland businessman Clive Palmer.
Oh, Ricky, you're so fine, you throw poo at your brother. And to prove just how united the Palmer United Party is, Clive brought his three newly elected senators along.
But I can't avoid saying that you actually turned up here tonight with your three senators-elect.
Well,
perhaps you could introduce them to us, because they seem to be sitting in the studio with us here.
They were there to either support Clive or oversee last night's lotto results. Clive and his three senators are like the Sex and the City girls in that they go everywhere together and I don't like them. Actually, they're like the cast of Two Guys, a Girl and a Pizza Place. Clive's the pizza place. And Clive has asked Prime Minister Abbott for resources to help his three senators do their job.
of course, if we don't get any resources, you can well imagine it'll take longer for the three people to do their job, and maybe you'd only get one bill through a year.
One bill a year? That means Tony could only get 3 of his wishes passed through in his first term, which makes Clive Palmer his genie. My guess is he'll ask the genie from down under to stop the boats, repeal the carbon tax, and give him a never-ending packet of Tim Tams. But Tony better give Palmer a good rub, because Palmer says
We won't vote for legislation until we fully understand it.
and that could be a while if you consider Palmer's understanding of his own finances.
Are you a billionaire?
I don't know.
That's not the only thing Clive's confused about.
Some people are going to say, by the way, can't you afford the extra resources yourself?
Well, that's not my party.
Yes, it is. And to finish, one more baffling remark from Clive.
Well, I think if I was Prime Minister, I'd like to have a good relationship with myself.
What would that look like? That's what I call Palmer United. And Google, that website we've outsourced our brains to, has installed Sydney's old monorail carriages in their Australian offices as meeting rooms. Yeah, pretty cool, right? But you know who else is using an old monorail carriage as a meeting room? Cockroaches. And Google needs new office space since they employ thousands of workers around the world for one purpose: drawing a different themed Google logo once every few weeks. Listen, Google, I'll let you collect my private search information and use it for creepy tailored advertising. I'll even let you autocorrect my search of Dan Aykroyd to Dan Aykroyd dead, even though he's alive and in Sydney selling vodka. But I will not allow you to steal my old monorail. Stick this up your buzz, Google. I'm switching to Bing. All right, I'm going back to Google for the roast of Mark Humphries.
Thank you, Mark. Yes, I'm happy you exist too. Next up tonight, the Labor caucus will vote today in its leadership ballot. And I have to say it's about time, because since being sworn in, Tony Abbott has had free rein to cut ministries, ignore climate change, and not have enough women in his cabinet without an opposition leader there to say, we could do the same thing, but better. Now, currently the polling indicates that Bill Shorten is set to win today's caucus, but the public wants Anthony Albanese. And despite the recent change in election process that gives Labor members a 50-50 vote with the caucus, even if the rank-and-file Labor members mirror the public's desire for Albanese, what they want might not actually matter, because every caucus vote is worth about 500 members' votes. 500 to 1. Those are worse odds than Shorten or Albanese ever becoming Prime Minister. So in the end, what the members are presented with isn't so much a choice as the illusion of choice.
Sir, would you like the chicken or the beef?
The chicken.
I'm afraid we don't have any chicken, we've only got the beef.
Why'd you ask me?
Democracy.
Get out of here.
True, both the chicken and the beef are adequate choices to run as opposition leader. But with the caucus currently tearing itself apart, publicly stating who they will be supporting in today's vote, it must be making for an awkward time in the parliamentary cafeteria.
Oh, sorry, mate. I was just finishing off some paperwork at the office.
Oh, for a second there, we thought you were out there betraying us to journalists.
No, come on. Elbow all the way.
Jazz Twemlow, am fully behind Bill Shorten as Labour leader. Any questions?
Think you'd better go, traitor.
The nerve on that guy.
Now, I would also like to declare my full support for Shorten.
Yeah, I'll go too.
However, I will be saying right in this moment that I am putting my full support behind Bill Shorten. Yes? No, he's not, but I can do it for you.
And as we all know in politics, who you sit with in the cafeteria defines you. Lunch with Simon Crean? Social suicide. But with Bill Shorten and Anthony Albanese's campaign coming to an end this weekend, one has to wonder what the future holds for the winner of this Labor leadership contest.
I'll tell you what the future holds, Tom. Nothing.
Well, that is an actual impossibility.
Whoever wins becomes opposition leader. A job so bad that Peter Costello ran away from Parliament when it was offered to him. A job so terrible that Alexander Downer put on fishnet stockings so he could be fired from it. And a job so confusing that if you actually bother to have a few good ideas, like some sort of John Hewson, a future Prime Minister will steal them and pass them off as his own. Howard, you old coconut. But the sad reality is, if you want to be Prime Minister, you're going to have to be opposition leader.
All right, thank you, Nick.
Unless you're Keating and you're Backstab Hawke.
That's very true.
Or if you're Gillard and you're Knife Rudd.
Just going to wait here because he's probably coming back.
Or if you're Frank Ford and the current PM has a heart attack. Or if you're one of these many Prime Ministers. Those guys never had to be a Kim Beazley or a Simon Crean or a Mark Latham or a Malcolm Turnbull or a Brendan Nelson. In other words, they never had to be a loser, a nobody, a tryhard. Who's that guy? Oh, don't worry, he's just the loner who sits alone at lunch.
Okay, thank you, Nick.
A no good, washed up, good for nothing, mountain of lame cream smeared all over a butt cake.
Oh, terrific. All right, as Mark mentioned earlier, Clive Palmer's Palmer United Party looks likely to hold the balance of power in the Senate after the election of 3 members, Lambie, the Brick and Wang. Those are the Palmer United Party members or the most inappropriate sequel to a kids show.
It's Lambie and the Brick. And Wang.
And joining the Palmer United Party in that voting bloc will be Ricky the Pooh-Finger Muir from the Australian Motoring Enthusiasts Party, a man who has been hard to find since becoming Senator-elect. But according to his party, thankfully Ricky is alive and has been undergoing training, including media training. And that's to learn things like how a bill gets passed in the Senate, how a bill then becomes law, and what's a bill. And that training might need to extend to Palmer's new voting bloc because, as Clive said,
We won't vote for legislation until we fully understand it.
So given the lack of political experience of Palmer's own 3 senators, including Glenn the Brick with Eyes Lazarus, whose previous experience is mainly being known as a sentient building object, that could take a while. And they'd better hurry up because soon these child cartoon micro-senators will be holding the balance of power in their hands. And that might be of some frustration to the 2 major parties.
So it appears we're in deadlock. We want to put through our legislation for better roads. Yeah. But the equally sized opposition is blocking us. So unfortunately, that's that. Moving on.
Excuse me.
Yes, the senator for the specific person and/or specific hobby party.
I'll support you.
Ah, thank you. That's great. Then we can build the roads. Yeah.
But only if.
Oh, God. Okay, out with it. What do you want?
My party will support your roads if you build them out of coal.
Can you build a road out of coal? Then it is done. Let the coal roads begin. Yeah?
Democracy. But Clive Palmer is worried that his new voting bloc will be overburdened with work.
You've got 3 senators having to consider the whole weight of legislation from the House of Representatives.
Bang on, Mr. Palmer. In fact, every senator has to do that because that's their job, as senators, in the Senate, as senators. So just remember, Australia, whenever we have a deadlock on legislation in the Senate, it's now all going to come down to these guys.
It's Lambie.
Whoa, hang on, stop that topical song for a second. I'm just hearing that the Australian Electoral Commission has ordered a recount of more than 1 million Senate votes in Western Australia, meaning Wang's Senate seat is now in question, the Palmer United Party's balance of power is up in the air, and that song could be terribly outdated. Let's just enjoy it anyway.
It's Lambie and the Brick.
And Wang.
And on tonight's episode,
The man who throws the poo. Do-da-scoo-da-doo-da-bee, throwing feces, stinky hands, blocking policy to get their own way. Boo-da-bee-da-ra-da-boo, don't have experience, but they still got in. Do-da-dee-hoo-da-doo, the system's broken, they are the proof. Hanging around, having adventures,